Welcome to the Business Women Australia podcast show, the podcast that brings together industry leaders to discuss the latest trends, insights and strategies. So sit back and relax, let's get inspired by the amazing women who are shaping the future of professional women in Australia. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So welcome everyone to our Business Women Australia podcast show. And my guest today has gone from being a feral child in the outskirts of Western Australia to a sustainability and circular economy superstar. She has worked tirelessly over 30 years, studying, exploring anything and everything that makes up sustainability as we know it today. And as a co-founder and governing fellow of the Galactic Cooperative, she's helping lead the way for the development of a circular economy in WA. And alongside that, also working within Curtin University in their sustainability policy unit and research as a fellow in circular economy. I hope I've got that right.
Yep, that's correct.
Dr. Kate.
Thank you, LJ. That's awesome. Thank you. And thanks for having us today, everyone. Welcome along.
You know, we were talking, we always love having a good chat, you and I, and we realise the more we talk, the more we have in common.
It's true.
And there's even down to our spoon standards, apparently.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about something that will affect everyone else. That's not us. We've got Earth Hour coming up.
We have.
What a great initiative. So if I remember correctly, I think it actually started in Sydney.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I did.
And it's
a number of years ago now.
Yeah, it's now worldwide. And it's so great that even for that 1 hour, the changes on the planet that 1 hour can make and bring into.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So helping change that and create that sustainable future. So you actually do a lot of it with coming from, working with businesses and having the business background and how businesses can contribute to a sustainable future, because, we've started to see the stats come out. Before we went live, I made the quick joke about Coca-Cola and Pepsi leading the way in the opposite direction, we'll call it.
yeah, that's right.
Not a title you want to win.
No.
But so I'm going to take it onto the point of, I want you just to think about, in a world where businesses and how they're interconnected ecosystems and each contributing to and benefiting from a sustainable network. How can companies actively participate in such a network to amplify their environmental impact and social impact on sustainability?
Yes, great question. Look, I think ideally we want businesses to think and kind of perceive themselves to be in an ecosystem. In reality, we are, but I think the way that we do business in the current kind of consumer capitalist way of being, we operate as very individual businesses, and ultimately that doesn't help us. It actually means that we're working in isolation. And if we were to set up, or if we were to just remember that businesses are working in an ecosystem, that we're all in this ecosystem, we could be sharing resources, we could be sharing capital, we could be sharing staff, we could be, and I mean, it's difficult for direct competitors to do that. I completely agree with that, and I understand that. But if you're in a business that is complementary and is actually could work next to another business, why wouldn't you work as if you're in an ecosystem? And one of the best ecosystems that I can think about in an industrial kind of setting is there at the Kwinana industrial hub that's on the sort of foreshore there. that is one of the prime global examples of what we would call an industrial symbiosis. And in that situation, one industry or one business will offer up their outgoings, and it could be, it could be wastewater, it could be steam, it could be, whatever output they have. They offer that up to the sort of community, the ecosystem of industries, and another organisation or business in that location will say, oh, that's awesome, I really need steam as an input to my business. That's how you create an ecosystem, and that industrial symbiosis is where we have this example of businesses actually working together to mutually benefit each other. And that's amazing. And so there's only that's one of two examples in the world, and they've been doing it for so long. And I don't see any reason why we can't do that in other business areas. And one of the things that Galactic Cooperative is really working on is trying to work with businesses in a complementary way so that we can help them and they can help us, and together we do the things that we want to do. And I think it really pushes us to be thinking about what our output is rather than what our profit is.
See, and once again, you lead me down something that always blows my mind, because I didn't realise about the Konami Industrial Hub.
Yeah, it's not well publicised.
And the fact that we haven't amplified that, when we've got one of two places in the world who create, works like this, to not try and replicate that throughout the state blows my mind that we've got the start here.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in saying that, how do you think that, businesses can forge that symbiotic relationship together with a sustainable network, like where they I think it's
about relationship building and connecting with like-minded businesses. I think that's what Business Women Australia do. It's what lots of other organisations adapt do it as well. They do really well there. We are part of the adapt community, and that means that we can talk to like-minded businesses who aren't competitors but might be doing something that we're not doing but meshes really well with what we want our customers to do. And for example, we don't measure carbon. It's just not something that we have the skills or, frankly, the interest in doing. There's plenty of other organisations that do that really well. And I want to call out Climate Clever. We're looking to see if we can partner with them in some way. And Climate Clever have a platform that's really excellent at helping organisations to measure their carbon, to understand what their footprint is as a business, what is their impact. And they're really good at that. I'm not interested in doing that at all. But we want our customers to work with them to measure their impact and their footprint, because as part of, what the sort of part of the pressures that are now coming onto businesses are, not only have we got, climate disclosure reporting coming up and sustainability reporting coming up, we've also got ASIC, who are the regulators for companies, saying, hey, companies, you need to demonstrate that you're being responsible with and for your impact, and your negative and your positive impact. And Climate Clever have a platform that's all about helping organisations to measure their footprint, their carbon footprint, their energy, their resources, all of that kind of stuff. So we want our customers to do that, and then we want them to log on and set up their profile on our portfolio, our portal rather, for sustainability frameworks, so that once they've kind of measured what their impact is, then they can come to us and go, okay, now I can download a package that has a sustainability policy, that has a, energy and resources policy, has a waste policy, whatever that looks like for each business. And we're working together as a unit. There might be someone else doing, something else that we want our customers to do. And so what we're creating is a community. And that's really what, the cooperative part of Galactic Cooperative is, that we work with other businesses to amplify what we're doing. And it's not about profit. The bonus is that it helps our profit lines.
Yeah.
But that's not the outcome that we're looking at. We're looking at how do we amplify our impact first.
Yeah. And to have, and for a lot of people to have, profit as a byproduct is a pretty good response. And you think of how many, even commercial hubs there are around Western Australia. I live close to Malaga.
Yeah.
Which is insanely commercial, and you can see so many businesses there that would strongly benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, that's an ecosystem.
Yes. So the fact that, it's not being snapped up, or the education isn't there, because, anybody who goes and will do any kind of certificate, diploma, doctorate, anything like that, a part of that work health and safety now is sustainability, which everybody has to add. So the fact that it's still kind of filtering slowly into businesses, and it is that thing where everybody's so used to operating like an island.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And the I guess the push and the potential of us transitioning to, the circular economy that I spend a lot of time talking about, is that what we're creating is ecosystems of businesses that are working together to help each other, rather than working, like silos. And there's so much overlap, and there's so much waste of resources and materials that are being sent straight to landfill. And once it's in landfill, it's gone, it's lost. Yes, okay, we can, dig it up again, but what a waste of effort that someone's taken all that time and money and energy to take it out of the ground. We've then, done something with it to make it into something, and someone's gone and bought it and done something with it in their business, and then it's just gone. Once it's at the end of its life, we've got no processes to help that material stay in a cycle of use still.
And we see that, especially, when we've got things like car and aeroplane graveyards, wind turbine graveyards and things like that, where so much could be scavenged and repurposed and melted even,
absolutely,
to bring in new product. But instead we create graveyards and then we mine for more products. So
I know. Yeah. It's this crazy kind of, it's this, I don't know, a distortion, I think, in what we think and what we do. There's this real, and I know that, there's plenty of research to say that there is that gap. It's like a dissonance gap between what we think is good and what we do. And I think we've got so much work to do to bring that gap a lot closer.
Well, what about a positive? Is there any stories that you can share about some really great examples for the circular economy that have had really good environmental benefits?
Yeah. So to backtrack a little bit, so circular economy, we've been talking about this for a long time, but in Australia it's not so well known. But essentially it's about, there's three main principles in a circular economy. One is we're designing out pollution and waste right from the beginning. So rather than having a product that we just, don't think about what happens at the end of its life, in the design phase right at the beginning, we're designing out waste pollution. Second is we're making sure that we're supporting at all times that material that we've taken out of the ground, we want it to be able to be reused and remanufactured and worked and continue to be used in that cycle of use and production. And then third is we're regenerating ecosystems and natural ecosystems, social ecosystems. We want to make sure that we're supporting the environment that we rely on. And so some really great examples of businesses that have grasped those three principles and really run with it is probably the biggest, I think, would be Philips Lighting. So Philips Lighting, we've probably all got Philips bulbs in our house somewhere or something designed by Philips. So very early on, they went, you know what, there's something wrong with the way that we're delivering lighting, because essentially they're in the business of lighting. I mean, they do lots of other things, but as far as their bulbs are concerned, they're in the business of lighting. So they went, you know what, people don't actually need the globe. They don't want the globe. What they're after is lighting. They want lighting for specific purposes and for really specific reasons. And so their designers kind of thought about, okay, what we're delivering is a service. And obviously this is at the beginning, it's still in the commercial sector, not the household sector. But if you can think about a building, and we've probably all worked in many, there'll be, multiple levels of a building. And if you think about how many globes are in that building, one in particular that I used to work in, there was one person that worked in that building and they would go from the first floor or, whatever the bottom floor is, right to the top, and they would go through and change all of the light bulbs that had, failed, and they would go up the floor and then they would go and they would start again, month by month. So that person, however much we're spending on that person's wage, plus all of the materials, it's millions and millions of dollars per building. And so when they, and this person in particular in this building, they changed to LED bulbs. So overnight, that person was not changing the bulbs every week. In fact, I think they had to change them once a month or even less than that. So cut their expenditure on bulbs. And so Philips Lighting in the background is going, yeah, right. So we're not only are we reducing the amount of bulbs that people or businesses or buildings will need, we need to move to a place where we're actually providing a service. So in a circular economy, we have this thing called product as a service. So what they've, and Philips have gone, okay, so they have developed a new business called Signify, and Signify provides the service of lighting for a building. And what they do is they go in and they design a lighting service for that building. They own the globes, they design the globes, and they will maintain those globes for the life of whatever the contract is. And so what they've done is they've kind of created this new business for themselves, and for the building owners, they're not having to buy globes. They don't want to. They don't want to store them. They don't want to pay someone to be continually checking them, because now Signify does that. And what that's done is push the onus for making sure that the design of the bulb is fit for purpose back to Philips or Signify. And it's meant that the maintenance and the ongoing care of that bulb goes to Signify. So they have to recycle them. They have to do all of those things that the building now no longer has to do. And so the circular economy kind of model is really pushing us to do that. And so there's other companies like Caterpillar. Caterpillar make those big machines that, out in the fields, all sorts of other, large machines. So they've had a product as a service model for a long time too. So if you, let's say you're a farmer and you need a tractor, you don't actually need the tractor. What you need is the service that tractor provides. Is it, tilling your field or something? I'm showing my lack of knowledge of agricultural processes, but the point is you don't actually need that machine. You just need the thing that machine does. And so Caterpillar went, okay, that we can work with that. So what they do now is they lease those machines to the operator. And in that lease agreement, they have to maintain the machine. They have to make sure that there's parts and that they're getting parts. And so all of that process around supporting and make sure that machine continues to work is the onus sits with the company that designed that. So now Signify's the same. So these two companies have now gone, rather than designing something that continually needs to be remanufactured or something needs to be bought because we want that person to be continually having a relationship with us in a financial way, they've gone, we don't want to be continually having to maintain this machine. So we're going to design it so that it's really good and it lasts for a long time. So you can see how the shift now has gone from the consumer has to continually buy this thing because we've designed it poorly from the beginning. And now the owners and the brand says, hey, we're not going to do that because that doesn't make financial sense for us anymore. And so it's really shifted that. It's like it's shifted the weight of design and maintenance back to the company. That's where we want to be going.
And actually, we've had a question coming in from Sarah Knox. And so she's from SK Design, and she wants to know, how can builders and designers be more proactive in our industry without pricing being affected so greatly?
Yeah, and that's it's really hard, I think, because, again, going back to that question, what we were talking about before is the ecosystem. I think we have to move to a place where those types of businesses are actually working together. I mean, one of the examples that I think about, it's not a great example as far as in the built environment, we're still building with bricks. I won't go down the line of talking about why we shouldn't be building with bricks, but one of the ways that builders in this country, at least, have kept the price of the bricks as low as they can is because they've had contract arrangements with the quarry. So the builders contract and have pricing arrangements with the quarry to make sure that those individual bricks are cheap. And in the same way, I think in the design kind of perspective, maybe what we need to go to is having, working as an ecosystem. If the supply chain needs to find new alternatives that are more sustainable, why can't we work together to do that? Can we go in as a group? Bless you.
Thank you.
Can we go in as a group to find the best alternative? Another example I can think of, so when I was working with IKEA, we were told, one of the commitments that IKEA Global had made in 2018 was by 2025 we will have, or anything that goes by wheels will go by low emissions vehicles. Now, the backstory to that is IKEA doesn't own any trucks, doesn't own a fleet. So think about how are we in Australia going to achieve that if we don't own fleet? We're contracting with fleet providers all the time. So what the team did was go, okay, who is designing and making electric trucks fleet? And we go with our transport provider together. We say, transport provider, if you're willing to invest in electric vehicles, what can we do to help you to do that? Transport provider says, we want longer contracts, because longer contracts mean that we've got some, assurance that your business will continue and that we feel comfortable about investing with you, continuing to invest. Okay, right. And then together we go to the transport, the designer of the electric cars. In this case, it was Sear Electric. And we said, what do you need for you to provide electric trucks to us? And they said, oh, we need, whatever it was. You
X,
order,
Y, and Z.
Yeah, order 10 trucks ahead. Okay, right. So then the three of us go in and we effectively work in a joint venture kind of way. We have MOUs together and we design contracts that support the three of us. And what that's created is this complete build-up now of IKEA can go back to the market and back to their headquarters and say, we're sorted for, 100% low emissions vehicles by 2025. Done.
Brilliant.
So I think that's what we need to be doing. And how that works in design and interior design in particular and the built environment, I think is quite challenging because they're very, very insular and they're very, very conservative. But I wonder if that's the kind of arrangement that might work in this instance.
Always worth a try.
Worth a try. Yeah.
Yeah. And not just that, it's a lot of people don't realize that they can also talk to you and, hire your services. They can
absolutely
actually sign up to have a sustainability talk. I know you're not one to, promote your services.
I'm not good at that. Yeah.
But,
yeah.
People don't always realize that there are people out there who are professionals, working, you have putting out Climate Centre to get their carbon emissions. Then you're working with the business. Oh, sorry, Climate Clever. I couldn't read my own writing then.
Yeah, it's true.
You coming along and to make sure that they've got a sustainable business. It's there. Everything
that's right.
is there. It's the understanding that needs to get out.
Yeah, and I think, Sarah's made a really good, asked a really good question, because it's not just in the built environment, it's all industries are the same. We all have the same goal. We need to reduce our impact and improve our impact, a positive impact, but reduce our negative impact. And there's lots of ways that we could be working with businesses. And I think there's so many opportunities there for, outputs of one organisation to be the inputs of another organisation. That's kind of the basic. And why can't we work together? Why can't, builders and designers work together to achieve what needs to happen in that sector? I think it's such a no-brainer, but I think we need individual organisations to be leaders in that space rather than waiting passively. And I think in WA we have this tendency of kind of waiting passively for someone else to do it. Guess what?
I think
you're the someone.
Yeah. Congratulations, Sarah. You've now become someone to start that.
Yeah.
And create it through the whole of Western Australia. But I think that's the thing is everybody also gets caught up in what they're doing now, because sometimes it's what you're doing now to what you do, what you've got to do for tomorrow, and these considerations that for now would take a bit of effort to work through seem too big.
Yeah, totally. It's overwhelming.
that's why I do point out with your services is, and for someone who can experience overwhelm very quickly, understanding that, you can go to someone else and go, look, I have got this idea.
Yeah.
I want to reduce this impact. Please help.
Yeah, exactly. And also that it's not that expensive. That, well, with our portal, we've really focused on providing sustainability as a service, going back to my earlier point, but making it accessible for small businesses, because small businesses particularly are going to be impacted really deeply by the need for the larger businesses up the line to be reporting on their climate-related financial disclosures. And all businesses are going to be impacted by that, whether they have to actually report themselves or not. And, I think going back to Earth Hour, and the point of Earth Hour is to really demonstrate that one small action that individuals and individual businesses can make have a seriously large impact. It wipes off, it's like, if every business on Saturday, or every individual household on Saturday night turns off their lights and all of their electricity and goes without that for an hour, that reduces, or rather increases our budget of what the earth can actually cope with for, is it an hour? It's longer. It has such an impact on us. Not using resources for an hour means we're saving some later on. And, because it's a global thing as well now. So it has such a huge impact. And for me, it really demonstrates one small action by individuals and individual businesses have such a massive impact on the environment.
And that's the thing, it's 1 hour of time, but the cumulative effect it has for that 1 hour, it's not 1 hour of, bonus earth time or anything. The actual cumulative effect it has is massive.
Yeah.
When everybody, joins in to take part. So because we always seem to reach more time than what we have. I'm going to finish this differently, because I thought we're going to change the podcast ending for a little bit, but I want to know.
Sure.
If Earth Hour hosted a talent show for circular economy innovations, okay?
Ooh, yep.
What kind of mind-blowing acts do you think would steal the spotlight?
That's a really good question.
I know it is. I laughed the whole way to it.
Yeah. So I mean, in Australia, we've got some really big hitters. So we've got Who Gives a Crap? Do we know Who Gives a Crap? Toilet
Loves
paper.
Who Gives a Crap. Anyone who comes to my house has a giggle, because I line up their little sayings on every roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, so good. So Who Gives a Crap? I think they're probably, one of the best examples of some really amazing work happening. Look, I think ZeroCo, also big Australian company, doing amazing work. So they're basically working with helping all households in particular, but anyone, to reduce the plastic that they're purchasing. So rather than buying all of the sort of liquids that you need in a house, cleaning or whatever, washing, all of those things, you buy the first bottle, and that is the bottle that you use forever, and then they provide you with the sort of refills, and that plastic container you send back to them, and they make it into a bottle again. It's genius. And they're taking plastics from that has been littered out in the wild, anywhere, oceans and nature, and actually putting it to use. So amazing company. Some other good ones. Like,
actually, I'm gonna put one in there.
Which is go.
One of the ones that I use, and they've just had a brand name change, and I'm not endorsed. They have no idea that I use them or promote them. Much like Who Gives a Crap, actually.
Same. Yeah.
Is they used to be called Turtle, but they're now Skipper.
Oh,
so
I don't know
all their cleaning products come in your little tablets. They're all dehydrated. So face wash, hand wash. My laundry sheets have no microplastics in them.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so and everything is just made so that as soon as your bottle runs out, you put and the paper they come in are all compostable.
Beautiful.
So, but put it straight in, you leave it and use it. So that would be
amazing.
I'd have to say, you know, that they get an award there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Some other good ones, Code, KOH. They do a number of things, but they started with an enzyme-based cleaning fluid, and my God, it's so good. It's just genius. Don't know how it works, but it's amazing.
Actually, I've been looking at trying them. So
yeah, it's really. I would thoroughly recommend them. Yeah, came out of UNSW, scientists from UNSW. So locally, you've grown. Yeah, look, I think they're the three big ones. And there's plenty overseas. What's a good? I mean, Patagonia is doing amazing things. So they're the mob that do the outdoor wear. Most of which we probably don't need here in WA, but they've been doing a lot of work in moving out of plastic in their clothing, and that's quite difficult. So they're the guys that really started use the polar fleece. So they really started the journey of polar fleece using recycled plastic.
Oh.
And when you think about that sounds really great. Polar fleece being made from recycled plastic, but what we know is the problem with plastic in any form, plastic that comes from oil and petroleum, which is at the moment most of the plastics that we would use have come from that source. It produces microplastics. So microplastics are the things that are kind of shed as an item is used, and particularly for clothing, it's innocuous, and it has such a massive impact. So in my research at Curtin, one of the things that we're looking at, among lots of the other things, is microplastics. It's everywhere, and if you think about, I think the latest stat I saw is that as humans are eating, I think, a credit card of microplastics every year.
Delicious.
Yum.
Oh,
and then,
terrible.
Someone said, but, okay, that doesn't sound very bad. I mean, it doesn't sound very good, but so what? Who cares?
Your body can't break down microplastics.
It can't. And the problem is that it lands in places that we don't want microplastics. Mm-hmm. So it's landing, some of the research I've been looking at is it's landing in things like arteries and, veins and places and when you block off those places, things happen, and it's not great stuff.
They're places that are essential to life.
That's right. Yeah, so we don't want to be focusing on it. So they're doing a lot of work at making sure that people are buying well and then repairing them. So they've got repair labs, and they will take clothes back and repair them, and so they're not only are they kind of doing all of that research on making sure that their initial product is really good, they're also going, okay, we want you to bring that product back so that we can repair it for you. So if it's broken, bring it back to us. Or here's a station that we've really focused on. And look, I think those are the guys or companies doing really amazing things. And I think also probably, it's time to call out IKEA too. IKEA, they use 1% of the world's wood. They use 1% of the world's cotton resources, and they feed more people than any one restaurant. So that's a lot of resources. Yeah. Like their restaurants are massive compared to, say, McDonald's or, you think about it. So that's a lot of meatballs and a lot of everything else.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. So essentially, Earth Hour, we are going to be getting, all households to turn off for an hour.
Yes.
But also for businesses to really think about not operating as an island, to reaching out and actually having a synergistic relationship with other businesses is really an amazing foot forward. I know I'm going to get off this and look at the Kwinana Industrial Hub as well, because I think, putting it out there that it can be done.
It can be.
It's good for the earth, and a byproduct of it all is you get the businesses get increased revenue, essentially.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. For all businesses,
yes,
please reach out to Dr. Kate. If Dr. Kate and the Galactic Cooperative are on LinkedIn, and otherwise you're also on our members' website too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining me, Kate.
Bye.
And remember to everyone listening to like and subscribe. Bye.
Yes, please. Bye.